Ben 10 was supposed to have 10 aliens? Nah man. The name of the show fooled ya. Actually, there are a lot more. And that's why I have come with a long list of all the aliens that Ben had ever transformed into in the classic Ben 10 series. And also in the same order in which they appeared. It's a long ass list, so don't forget to mention your favorite one in the comments. Recently, I was rewatching the series, and in that process, I had gathered some unnecessary data, which I don't particularly know what to do with them. So I thought, why not make a video about it? But I also don't want this video to turn out in a monotonous fashion where I will be listing the powers and abilities of all the aliens. Hey guys, this is Heat Blast, and his power is he can shoot fireballs out of his ass. Nope, that's boring. So I made this video with some spices here and there for those who want to have fun ride throughout this video. And I also want to list all the aliens and facts about them for those who are explicitly here for that. So without any further ado, let's get started. The first alien species in our list, which was one of the most iconic transformations of the series for obvious reasons, because before that scene, no one would have ever thought of a kid getting a super cool device which will turn him into not only one, not only two, but 10 different superheroes. So the first alien we see in this series is Heat Blast, and this alien species is known as Pyronite, inhabitants of star pyros. That's right, aliens are living in stars now. So much for searching only the planets and moons in our solar system. Heat Blast is a pyrokinetic alien. That means he can control fire. He can throw fires from his hand, he can fly by boosting himself using fire, and his whole body is literally on fire. Even his butt.
10 superheroes on that stupid watch and you pick the one with the flaming butt?
The earlier concept arts of Heat Blast also include volcano-looking things on his shoulder. The next alien we get to see Ben turn into is the one he called Wild Mutt. And by looking at his appearance, you can easily tell that dog-like creatures were the main inspiration for the character design of this alien. This species is called Vulpimuncer, and they live in the planet named Vulpim. This alien was also introduced in the story in the first episode of season 1, when Ben was trying to figure out how the watch works, right after his first accidental transformation into Heat Blast. Wild Mutt has enhanced senses, and even though he doesn't have eyes or ears, he can perceive his surroundings with advanced sensing organs. This dog-looking creature is super agile and smells super gross.
Ew.
The third one in our list is one of the coolest and probably one of the most powerful aliens in Ben 10 when it comes to hand-to-hand combat and fighting techniques. Just look at this character. I can literally get out of my seat right now and kiss his shiny butt. Ben named this alien Diamond Head. Well, more like Grandpa Max named this alien Diamond Head. The alien species is called Petrosapien, and their home planet is Petrovia. In his first appearance, we see Diamond Head fight this giant robot thing that Vilgax sent in Earth to find the Omnitrix. Ben used Diamond Head in this fight, and he was changing his body shapes and shooting these crystal things out of his hand. But Diamond Head can do a lot more. He can create crystals, levitate them, and control them at his will. And as I already said, I think this is one of the most powerful aliens of Ben 10. Because when Ben learned to use Diamond Head's powers later in the story, he single-handedly crushed Vilgax, the long-time enemy and one of the most important threats of this series. The next and final alien that appeared in the first episode of season 1, named And Then There Were 10, is an alien Ben called XLR8, and he appeared for a very short time in this episode, where Ben used it to take revenge on his school bullies. This alien has super speed, and speed is not something to be taken lightly. Although physically not that strong, but you can do a lot more stuff using speed and acceleration. What? You want me to list them? Let's see. More speed means more momentum means more force, so your kicks and punches will feel way more painful, as long as you don't break your bones in this process. Let's move to the fifth alien in this list. Episode 2 of the first season had introduced 3 more aliens, and the first one being Grey Matter, whose initial concept art looked exactly like a stereotypical alien we see in old sci-fi movies and Area 51 conspiracies. Except, he's only 4 inches tall, so wouldn't it be a wise choice if you need to fight someone head-on? Every alien is specific to their power. That means one alien might have super intelligent, space-distorting big brain, but he's not physically very reliable. On the other hand, there are aliens that are designed for hand-to-hand combat. Others are specific to fire powers. Someone has high speed. This distribution of superpowers, despite giving Ben the ability to change into different aliens, balances the whole superhero aspect of the story. According to one of the creators of Ben 10, Duncan Reilly, this was intentional to avoid the Superman problem, which basically means you made your protagonist so strong that now you have to use kryptonite to nullify his powers. Anyways, Grey Matter species is known as Galvan, and his ability includes basically 2 things. 1, the species is super smart, so when Ben becomes Grey Matter, that grants him Galvan's intelligence, which lets him defeat his enemies with his big brain. And 2, this is more of an advantage of his small size than a real power. That is, he can get inside any machinery and damage it from inside. He can also easily hide from enemies. So, we have an alien who is super intelligent, huh? I wonder how the series introduced this alien. Oh, never mind. Grey matter's small size becomes very handy throughout the series. Because it is not always necessary, you need raw strength to defeat your enemies. Speaking of raw strength, the next alien we were introduced in the second episode was Four Arms. He is basically the alien to go for when you need super strength, long distance jumping, and wiping the shit out of your enemy. The DNA was taken from planet Kronos, and his species is called Tetraman. In the first appearance, we see him fighting the mammoth created by Dr. Animo's mutant ray. And then he tried to save Gwen, who was captured by a mutant parrot. But the problem is, Four Arms can't fly. So after Omnitrix recharges, Ben became Stinkfly, a crab-looking alien who can fly and shoot stinky goo-looking things from his eyes. Yep, those are his eyes. So this also gives him a 360-degree view of his surrounding. And that's all about Stinkfly's powers. One of the major downside of this alien is when his wings get wet, he cannot fly. The third episode felt as if it was intended to introduce a new alien named Ripjaws, which Ben had already used off the screen before this episode. I said this episode was made with the intention of debuting this alien because this episode revolved around a lake monster named Kraken, and to fight underwater, you need an alien who is based on some aquatic species. So we got Ripjaws. And Ripjaws was used off the screen before this episode because this is the first episode we saw Ben turning into wrong aliens. For the first time, when Ben intended to become Ripjaws, he was turned into Accelerate instead. A little behind the screen story for this strong alien problem is that creators wanted Ben to not know how to use the watch at all, so that this will work as a character growth element for Ben in the whole series. And when you see him finally unlock the full potential of the watch, that makes you scream like me when I saw this photo for the first time. But Cartoon Network didn't like this idea. They wanted Ben to know everything about the Omnitrix from the get-go. So the workaround for this problem was to give him wrong aliens despite him knowing how to use the watch. This worked as an extra challenge for Ben to overcome and use his aliens in the most creative way possible. Because when you need someone to fight and you are turned into grey matter or Stinkfly, to come out of this situation safely, you need to use your brain at full capacity. Anyways, the final fight of this episode debuted many abilities of Ripjaws, including high-speed swimming, sharp teeth, and expandable jaws. But his weakness is, he needs water every now and then when he is on the land. So it's better to use it only when you are inside water. With that said, the last two aliens of classic Ben 10 series are both introduced in the fourth episode, and they were very likely used by Ben off the screen before these episodes. The first one is Upgrade. Man, this alien is cool. Upgrade has the ability to merge with any tech gadget and enhance it. Not only that, but he can completely control the gadget and use it in his own advantage. We have seen him flying a whole spaceship to the outer space. This species is known as Galvanic Megamorph and was accidentally created by Galvans. Yes, the same species that Grey Matter is. The final alien to end this 10 alien list is Ghost Freak, and he's a little different than other aliens. The first reason for that is the character design. When you compare Ghost Freak's character design with the other 9 aliens, you'll clearly see an artistic difference. Where the rest 9 aliens are more creative, funny, and typical superhero type, Ghost Freak has a more of a creepy appearance, to say the least. He is what comes to your mind when you think of a ghost. And I think the reason for this is since the beginning of this creative work of this series, Ghost Freak was supposed to be an antagonist who will somehow escape from the watch and try to take control over Omnitrix. And the fun fact, creators initially wanted to have every alien inside Omnitrix, and that thought can be clearly seen in execution after 10 years, when they reboot the whole series. There is a character named Gax in this reboot version of Ben 10, who combined with someone named Will to become Will Gax. I think this is the most lamest thing I have ever heard. The reboot doesn't stop here to butcher the original Ben 10 series. There is a new alien introduced named Overflow. Yes, that's Overflow. Do you still expect me to take this reboot thing seriously? I don't expect Ben to read hentai, but it wouldn't be surprising if someone searched for Ben 10 and accidentally find out this. You basically ruined an innocent person's life. Coming back to our original series aliens, now that we have finished 10 aliens that were introduced in season 1, it's time to move to more interesting aliens in this list, with the first one being Cannonball. The introduction of this alien was a separate episode similar to most of the upcoming aliens. This alien was first shown in the second episode of the season 2, named Big Tick, and the way his powers were shown is very poetic. In this episode, Ben accidentally found out that there is a new alien in Omnitrix that got unlocked probably due to Omnitrix's malfunction after the encounter with Vilgax in the concluding episode of season 1. And at first, he couldn't figure out what this alien can do. So then there came the perfect opportunity. Afterward, Ben had fought a huge alien named Tick with a thick outer layer, so all his attacks from 10 other aliens were going in vain. Then he became Cannonball, who can transform himself into a spear and can roll at very high speed, and that's how Ben destroyed this alien and saved the day. The next alien in this list is an interesting one. His name is Wildvine, and it is basically a plant species named Florauna. Not very creative, huh? His abilities involve chlorokinesis. That means he can control plants. He can also shoot smoke bombs present in his back. And he can also stretch his arms and legs. And lastly, has a very cool character design. The next one is not actually a new alien, so I didn't wanted them to add in the list, but no harm in mentioning them. In the 12th episode of Season 2, Dr. Anima and Mutant Ray, we see Ben tampering with the watch and accidentally breaking it. So as a result, we get to see a few fusion aliens. We have a mixture of 4 arms and Stinkfly, which is neither powerful nor can fly, and we have a mixture of Diamond Head and Grey Matter, then a hybrid of Heat Blast and Dipjaws. Not really a good choice, is it? The next 3 aliens are quite interesting, and they are not unlocked by Ben in the current timeline, but they were used by Future Ben, who was introduced in Season 3 of Classic Ben 10 series. And all the 3 aliens are interesting in their own way. The first one is Spitter, who spits things. He has a design of this giant ball looking thing and vomits some kind of fluid from his mouth. The next new alien Ben 10K introduced was not very new because we had already seen him in one of the earliest episodes. Not as a transformation, rather an alien species who like to create chaos. His name is Buzzshock, an electricity-based alien who can duplicate himself multiple times and can flow through electricity. The last one is Artiguana. We already had a fire-based alien in our list, but we did not get any ice alien. This alien fills the gap. The funny thing is, both Spitter and Artiguana were earlier designs for Upchak. Later they were scrapped and Upchak got the design that we know him right now. But creators did not want these designs to go to waste, so they created new aliens from those designs. Create, scrap, recycle. Sounds good to me. The next 3 aliens that Ben had used were not actually a part of Omnitrix. Rather, their DNA were taken accidentally by Omnitrix while Ben was fighting with those aliens. And the first one in this list is Ben Wolf, a wolf-looking alien who was spending his vacation on Earth. And while stealing some satellite components, Ben encountered him and collected his DNA. The alien has the ability to use ultrasonic sounds to weaken his opponents. And rest of his abilities are very much like an ordinary wolf. The next one in this list is a mummy-looking alien species who was searching for corundum in Earth. And during a fight, Ben captured his DNA. He has some tissue paper looking things coming out of his body, and that's it. That's all he can do. The last one among these 3 aliens is Frankenstrike, and his appearance is very similar to Frankenstein. He is the first alien in this current timeline who has electric powers. He can generate electricity at will and looks pretty strong if you ask me. The next alien in our list is one of my favorite, and he was unlocked by Xylene in the episode named The Visitor. She is also Max's ex-girlfriend and a plumber who is responsible for sending Omnitrix in Earth. The new alien is called Upchak, and Upchak's species is known as Gormand from a destroyed planet named Piptos. And his ability is eating and vomiting to be specific. Upchak can eat literally anything, solid, crystal, energy beams, and then that thing gets converted into some sort of explosive inside his stomach, and he can use that on his opponents. The next one in this list is a special case, and I will tell you why. This alien was actually supposed to be introduced in the movie Secret of Omnitrix, which chronologically takes place between the 3rd and 4th season. But later, they changed his appearance with Heat Blast, and we see the alien officially at the end of season 4. But you can still see a sneak peek of this in the beginning of the movie. Yes, right there, that's what I'm talking about. The alien is named Eye Guy. His DNA was taken from a species named Opticoid, and he has the ability of total 360-degree vision, thanks to his whole body covered with eyes. He can also shoot electric rays through his eyes. Now, we didn't get to see this new alien in the original movie, but we did get a new alien and definitely most useful alien in the classic Ben 10 series. This alien was unlocked by Azimuth after he fixed the Omnitrix in the movie. Ben had only used this alien twice in the original series. First time we see him, he beat the shit out of Vilgax, and next time, it was used by Ben 10,000 to beat the shit out of Kevin. Ha, that's fancy. But the next alien is not that fancy at all, and definitely not physically impressive, because he's even weaker than a normal human being. His name is Ditto. His only power is creating unlimited copies of himself. But even that is not very helpful, because if you hurt any one of those copies, all of them get hurt. Now we are almost at the end of this list, but here is a twist for you guys. The list is not over yet. Do you remember one episode in season 4 of Classic Ben 10 series, bringing back Ben 10,000? Although we did not get to see any new alien in this episode, but we got teased with a lot of new alien names. Considering the fact that it was in production around the same time when the next big breakthrough of Ben 10 series was in development. So no wonder they threw some random alien names. And 2 of them were actually introduced much later in the series, in Ben 10 Omniverse. The first one is Atomics. Yep, Ken had mentioned this alien is something cool, and he was disappointed that Ben did not add Atomics in his watch. But at that time, we knew nothing about this alien. Well, after all these years, now we know what Omnitrix can do. His power is basically nucleokinesis. Think of him as a walking nuclear reactor, which is pretty damn scary if you ask me. The next alien that we were teased, and we got to see it in Omniverse as well, which is Topic. Only thing Ken said about it is that this is a gross looking alien. And it literally is. Apparently, his only power is to scare people. And I am not even joking. I don't really know how that works, but the explanation is something along these lines, bringing the fear in the psyche of every living being that is present at the subconscious level. Anyways, that's a lot of big talk. Now there are 3 other aliens that were mentioned in this episode, but we never got to see them in the series, at least not yet. But much later, in 2020, Thomas Perkin had drawn the concept ideas for these aliens. The guy who is broadly responsible for a lot of alien designs in the series. These aliens are Snake Pit, Sandbox, and Shellhead. The only thing we know about them is that Shellhead has a hard cover, and he can hide safely inside it. And that's it. That ends this list of every alien mentioned in the classic Ben 10 series. And now that there are more than 20 aliens, and if I have to pick up any 2 of my favorite ones out of them, one of them would definitely be Upjack. No, not because I like to eat shit, rather, his abilities are super cool. And one of my favorite moments of Upjack is the last scene from Ben 10 Generator X Heroes United. When Rex was confused about how Ben will carry the highly dense alpha and deposit it in the outer space, he transformed into Upjack and ate that shit like it was his birthday cake. How could you not like him? And the second one would be either Cannonball or Diamond Head. Maybe I'll choose Cannonball because he has some cool moments as well. One of my favorites is when Ben transformed into Cannonball and taking Gwen and Grandpa Max, he crashed from outer space, breaking the Earth's atmosphere and landing on the ground without a scratch. What is your favorite among all those aliens? If you have to pick one of them, which one would you pick? If you are given the option of transforming into any one of those aliens, which one would you choose? You can comment down below, and if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe.